Good day everyone. Today we're gonna tackle about the immune system in animal form and function. This was given to us to present and we will give you an explanation about how this immune system occurs in animals and plants. So what is immune system? The immune system is the body's defense mechanism against harmful invaders like bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. It works to detect and destroy these pathogens to prevent infections and diseases. The immune system is made up of various cells, tissues, and organs that collaborate to protect the body. In short, the role of immune system is the way of protecting the body against an infection and disease. And easy to understand, the immune system helps us fight the sickness of our body. So the first is, how does immune system occurs in plants?
Plants have a sophisticated immune system that helps protect them from pathogens such as bacteria, fungi, viruses, and herbivores. Unlike animals, plants cannot move to escape, so they deal with these attackers very differently to the way animals and humans do. The plant's immune system can be divided into multiple layers and processes that work together to recognize and respond to different types of threats. These are some examples of defense mechanism of plants. The cuticle and the cell wall are vital to a plant's immune system. The cuticle acts as the physical barrier, prevents water accumulation that promotes pathogens, and contains antimicrobial compounds. The cell wall provides structural defense, detects pathogens, releases antimicrobial substances, and reinforces itself during infections. Together, they form a strong first line of defense, blocking pathogens and triggering immune responses when needed. Next, trichomes protects plants by acting as physical barriers against pests, secreting toxic or antimicrobial compounds to deter herbivores and pathogens, and limiting direct contact with pathogens. They also reflect UV rays and reduce water loss, indirectly supporting plant immunity.
Phytoalexins, antimicrobial compounds that are produced by plants in response to pathogen infection to inhibit pathogen growth. Phytoalexins are antimicrobial compounds produced by plants in response to pathogen infection. They act as a defense mechanism to inhibit pathogen growth, preserving the spread of disease. Protease inhibitors, protein that stop herbivore digestive enzymes, making the plant less palatable to herbivores. Volatile organic compounds, or VOC, chemical released by the plant that can signal neighboring plants to prepare for potential attacks or attack predators of herbivores. Volatile organic compounds, or VOC, are critical parts of a plant's communication and defense system. These chemicals are released into the air, acting as signal to both neighboring plants and predators of herbivores. Signaling neighboring plants. When a plant is under attack by the herbivores, it releases specific VOCs that act as an alarm signal to nearby plants. These signals are triggering the neighboring plants to activate their own defenses, such as producing more potencies inhibitors, phytoalexins, or toxins. Attracting predators. Plants can also release VOCs that attract predators. This is a form of indirect defense, where the plant relies on the other organisms to protect it.
We are done now discussing about how the immune system occurs in plants. So now we're gonna discuss about how does immune system occurs in animal.
All animals possess primitive system of defense against the pathogen to which they are susceptible. Unlike plants, animals have specialized immune cells and organs to detect and combat infection. So here's the thing, while plants have their own defense mechanisms and animals have much more complex and specialized immune system. Let's do a summary. Phytoalexins. These are antimicrobial compounds produced by plants in response to infection by pathogen. Protein inhibitors. These are proteins that block the activity of enzymes essential for the herbivore's digestion. Volatile organic compounds or VOCs. These are gaseous chemicals released by plants that act as signal to the other organisms. Let's go back to how does this immune system occur animals. In essence, the immune systems act like a well-trained army, constantly patrolling the body and ready to fight off any threats, ensuring our health and survival.
Innate immunity. Innate or non-specific immunity is a defense system with which you were born. It protects you against all antigens. Innate immunity involves barriers that keep harmful materials from entering your body. Key features of innate immunity include: first, physical barriers. Physical barriers are structural obstacles in natural or man-made environments that prevents or block mobility or access. Second is phagocytic cells. Phagocytic cells that engulf and digest pathogens. Next is inflammation. Inflammation is triggered when pathogens breach physical barriers, causing blood vessels to dilate and allowing immune cells to reach the infection site. Fourth is neutral killer cells. Neutral killer cells. These cells kills virus-infected cells and tumor cells by recognizing abnormal cells. And the last is complement proteins. Complement proteins, they enhance the immune response by tagging pathogens for destruction and promoting inflammation. Adaptive immunity. This is a more specific response to pathogens and develops over time as the body encounters specific infection. The response is to destroy invading pathogens and any toxic molecules they produce. These are the components of adaptive immunity. T cells. These cells came in two main types. Helper T cells. Helper T cells they assist other immune cells by releasing signaling molecules that activate phagocytes, B cells, and other T cells. Second is cytotoxic T cells. So these cells kill infective or cancerous cells directly. Next is B cells. Well, B cells produce antibodies that specifically recognize and neutralize pathogens. Once activated by T cells, B cells mature into plasma cells that produce large amounts of antibodies. And the last is antigen-presenting cells. These include dendritic cells and macrophages which process pathogens and present pieces of them to T cells to activate the adaptive immune response.
So we are done now discussing about how does immune system occurs in plant and animal. So here is the summary of the whole presentation in immune system on how this is work in animals and plant. So without further ado, let us begin. So the first is the feature, which is immunity type. So in plants, there is one only, which is innate, non-specific, And in the animals, there are two, which is innate and adaptive, specific plus memory. As we can see here in the feature immunity type, that innate is in the plant and animals. So both plant and animals has innate immunity in it. So what is the function of innate in plants and animals? So both plant and animals have innates, including insects and mammals. Innate immune system, which this helps them to protect the host from the majority of microbes they encounter during their lifetime. Plant and animal innate immune systems recognize an overlapping set of conserved microbe associated molecular patterns, which is also known as MAPS. So the adaptive immunity and the immunity type of animals is that the adaptive immunity in the strict sense whereby the host creates an immunological memory after exposure to a pathogen and is limited to vertebrates. The next is physical barriers. So in plant there is three, which is cuticle, cell wall, trichomes. In animals there is three also, which is skin, mucous membranes, and secretions. So the purpose of physical barriers is to protect them from the predators or the pathogens. So the next is immune cells. So in plants there is no specialized immune cells, while in the animals there is white blood cells, phagocytes, B cells, and T cells. So the next is defense mechanism. In the plant there is PTI, ETI, hypersensitive response, while in the animals there is phagocytosis, antibodies, cytotoxic T cells, which helps them to defend themselves from the predators. An example of them is the pathogens. So we are done now in defense mechanism. So the next is immunological memory. So in plants, there is no long-term memory. While in the animals, there is a true memory B and T cells. And lastly is the pathogen recognition. In plants, PRRS detect general pathogen patterns, while animals, PRRS detects pathogens, specific antigens are recognized. So the rule of pathogen recognize is to detect the pathogens that are going to harm the plants and animals. And this is the end of our presentation on immune system in animal form and function. Hope you have learned something from our presentation. Thank you.